G'day, welcome back to Palu. I've been working on this map for about, gee whiz, must be 3 weeks now. I've cracked the 500,000 resident mark, and I just thought I'd do a bit of a review of things and things I've found, observations, and a few workarounds, etc, etc. This is the map that you can see here. That's 81 tiles. The mods I use, I don't use anything out of the ordinary. Traffic Manager, there's a landscaping tool there. Let me just have a quick squiz here. Okay, 81 tiles, bulldoze it, surface painter, extra landscaping tools, advanced vehicle options, Kleitz Fine Road Anarchy, Traffic Manager PE 11.4, optimized outside connections, life cycle rebalanced, realistic population, CSL show more limits, which is amazing, and move it. So show more limits, I just want to start with that one. It is just such a handy tool. I've only discovered this in the last week. Control L brings it up. But in past maps, especially when we get to around 300,000 mark, 300,000 population mark, I start running into problems like particularly traffic, which I'm sure anyone who's got a map over about 150,000 people starts having traffic problems. And the Traffic Manager helped a little bit with that, but with the show more limits mod on the background, so in this case, like, my vehicles have been a problem since about 250,000 people, but I've modified things, and I'll get into that in a sec. At the moment, a new one I've never encountered yet, a citizen instances, which I'm allowed 65536, and I'm up to 62,000, so that's a new one for me that I'll have to find a way of addressing. Path units I'm also going to be looking at maxing out soon. I'm allowed 262k, I'm up to 200k. But everything else, the vehicles, they're down around 11.7 at the moment out of 16.3. For the last 2 weeks they've been hovering right up at the max limit, and what I did there to combat that, I've made a lot of roads. It's like a ghost town now, unfortunately. To keep the game running, you've pretty much got to lock roads down to trucks. The first thing I did was keep the trucks in the industrial and commercial areas. Second thing I did was the outside connections, where I've got an in and out highway on each end. So yeah, there's the south and there's the north. At the just as soon as they come off the map, I switched it to a standard wide road, 3x3. Full lane road, 2 in each direction, and this is actually a bike lane road. So I was hoping to encourage more people to cycle everywhere, which seems to be happening as well. But that's 2 lanes in each direction, and coming off the highway I've got these interesting little alternative to roundabouts and some of those very complicated spaghetti roads. So it's just a short tunnel underneath with an on and off ramp in each direction, and that's working really well. This one here in particular, this is Bedford Woods, my forestry industries DSL, and I've actually got a DLC, sorry, and I've actually got the railway tunnel going under the highway as well, and that goes all the way through to the seaport. So a couple of problems I'm encountering now that I've hit this 500k mark. I'm starting to get run out of workers. I've got 1% unemployment. I've had 1% unemployment since day one. That's got a lot to do with the realistic population mod. I'll get into that more in a sec. I'm also starting to run out of resources. Now, part of the problem there, even though the industries are pumping out heaps, I'm making a fortune out of industries. So I've got forestry producing 77 grand, farming 54, ore 86, and oil 114, fisheries 12.5. So they're all making really good money. But what I did recently to control the traffic was I did something really sneaky, and I've blocked all imports. And that's why some of my industry is slightly crashing. I'm talking generic industry, and I'm wondering if perhaps there's just too much generic industry to begin with. So I'm letting them quietly crash, because it's not a massive problem. You can see here it's a problem, but not massively. So I'm going to lose, say, 5 businesses on this map, or 6, but there's 40 that I'm not going to lose. So maybe it's just thinning out the fat a little bit. I'm not too worried there. Yeah, so I've cut off all imports, and even the trains. You'll notice here I've got a two-way train here. It comes into the passenger station so people can come from out of town and go back again, back out of the map again. But at that point it becomes a single one-way track, and that track goes out only. And it's only that small section which is one way, and the same thing on the other end of the map. It's one way going out, and then it goes back to a two-way track for the inside of the map area. So everywhere else is two-way except just those little bits on the end. Equally, the highway at this point right up here where it becomes this 4-lane road, what I've done there is no trucks on the entire highway from one end to the other. No trucks whatsoever. So no trucks can come into town, no trucks can leave town. All freight in and out goes by rail. That of course has meant that I've got to have a lot of railway stations, and that's fine, because in past maps I've been getting railway blockages anyway where they just bank up. So I've actually enjoyed building a lot more train stations. I've also put in a few of these. Let me see where I can find a good example. So these train terminals. So there's 5 stations here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's a factory in the middle as well. So that's just feeding in train tracks from all over the place. There's 3, 6, there's 10 lines coming into this collection here, and you've just got unloading in one, and they can pick from the other 5. So it's a really great way of distributing stock to all the various industrial estates. So I've got generic industrial all over the place and commercial all over the place, just so it's spread out a bit. Yeah, it seems to be working quite well, and as I say, I'm up to exactly 527,000 people now, 185 million in the treasury, so that's going pretty well. All the industries are firing. The one thing I'll note is it's one of the mods, and I think it's not gospel, but I think it might be the realistic population, or what was the name of that one that, I think it's real time or some jolly thing, life cycle rebalanced. And I think that's the one, because I've got that maxed out to age speed. Oh no, I've got that left on default. Okay, what did I do here? I thought I maxed out one of those. Okay, no, I've just left that on default. So yeah, okay, it's a curious one. I'd actually be interested to see what would happen if I changed that. But yeah, I think it's affected the way that properties, you collect taxes from properties, because I make no money, just bugger all, out of housing. So with 527,000 people, I'm only making 39 grand a week out of residential. I'm making 30 grand a week out of commercial, and 7 grand out of industrial and offices. So yeah, it's just no money coming in at all. So the upside of that is I don't have to worry about things like parks as much, because it's not increasing my property rates. In fact, so the combined total there, 86,000. I actually went into the policies and removed, I haven't removed smoke detector distribution. If you saw my video bankruptcy the other day, you'll remember the catastrophe I had with these policies in that video when I nearly went broke before I even began. But I did add these back in after that event, and power usage was one of them. And I just removed that power usage yesterday, and it saved me 82,000 a week. Now, I'm only making 80,000 a week out of all my properties, so why bother having it? And smoke detector distribution, if I get rid of that, and I'll add, it didn't affect the population. The population was still growing. You'll see down here the green and blue are still quite healthy, and even the industrial starting to pick up again. So yeah, I don't really know the logic. It's definitely one of those mods that's affecting the income, so perhaps it's taxing me. Maybe the tax rate I'm getting is like a daily tax rate rather than a weekly tax rate. I don't know. I really don't know the logic there. But thankfully I'm making a ton of money out of industries, so the DLCs are going really great. Industry, as I said, 70s and 80s and 120 out of the oil, so great money. And particularly the education, equally as much. I've got two universities, one's a trade school and one's the main uni, and between those two they're making me 240,000 a week. So that and the industry is worth $500,000, so I really don't have to worry about the property too much. I can just go crazy there. And where I'm having trouble with these citizen units in the show more limits, how I was saying that they're about to max out, a lot of that will be people sitting in parks and things, so I'm actually thinking of deleting a few parks. I'll also add here that I've actually got a 12% tax rate across everywhere, and the population's still growing and I'm still not making money. It's out of the property. It's quite bizarre. The other thing with the trains, I made a video the other day about the monorails and just singing their praises, and they continue to please. I've got, I think, about 15 monorail stations now. It's costing me 11,900, so say 12 grand a week. It's making me 15 grand a week, so it's still a profitable venture, and they're phenomenal. They're always doing up around, some of them are doing 2,000 passengers a week, and that's far better than buses have ever been. Trains, 90,000 in expenses a week, and that is because I have, wait for it, 36 train cargo stations. 90,000 a week. Train tracks everywhere, but yeah, 36 cargo stations. Isn't that awesome? It's but it works so well. Every DLC, every Industries has at least 3. Most of them have 4 stations. Then I've got all these terminuses, which are at least 4 stations. Some are 6. Yeah, it's absolutely mad. I'm having fun. I'm starting to get a few laggy issues now, and admittedly my CPU is getting a little on the old side. It's an FX 4130, but it's still perfectly adequate. But I think it's more that the game is running out of limits rather than the CPU. I mean, all my other components in the computer are top notch. I've got a GTX 1660 graphics card, I've got 32 gig of RAM, an RA597 ASUS motherboard, so everything's in top notch, just except that CPU could use a little bit of tarding up. That's about it. I reckon another week of this. I am oh sorry, what I was about to add was, yeah, part of that slow responses, slow FPS is I'm starting to get a bit of terraforming lag, so yeah, but that comes and goes. It's a weird thing. But yeah, so as I say, probably another I'll probably spend another week or 2 in City Skylines, and what I achieve in this map I'll sort of will be what I achieve. It'd be nice to make $1 million, but I think I'm going to be pushing it. I'm very happy doing $500,000. It's my biggest world so far. 750 would even be nice, so yeah, we'll see how we go. I'll just say, and it's not really a shot at City Skyline. I found the same thing with Sims 4. I got to a point where I started missing Open Simulator again, and I'm getting that way a bit with City Skyline as you build these bigger cities and you start to see the limits and what they can and can't do. you do sort of miss the more creator-friendly environment of Open Simulator. So I'll spend another week or two in this and then have a break from it and go back to OpenSim for a while. But I want to make a few more videos, particularly showing people how to terraform and traffic tips. So yeah, it's I'll be around in City Skyline for a while to come yet. Okay, thanks for your company. Chat you soon. Bye.